Hi, Jesus. It's me, X. Thank you for my family, my toys, and for making the stars. Sometimes I get scared when it's dark, but then I remember that you're holding my hand. Please help me be good and kind. Help me to say sorry when I forget. And please, help people who are feeling sad to feel better again. Jesus, please watch over my daddy. He works a lot and he looks tired sometimes. Could you help him smile again? And if he ever feels alone, could you sit beside him for me? Thank you for loving me even when I make mistakes. I want to be your friend forever. Amen. The soft voice of the 5-year-old echoed through the quiet television studio. Everyone in the room had gone still. Camera operators didn't adjust their lenses. The director sat frozen at his station. Even the production assistant, usually bustling with tasks, stood perfectly still, watching the little boy kneel beside his father's chair. Richard Chen, the host of late-night conversations, felt a lump forming in his throat. In his 2 decades of television, he had never witnessed anything like this. The child's heartfelt words moved through the air like a prayer in a holy place. Elon didn't move. His eyes remained shut, and one hand rested on his son's small shoulder. When X finished praying, he looked up at his father with eyes full of hope and trust. "Was that okay, Daddy?" he asked. The silence stretched, heavy and deep, before something remarkable happened. A single tear slid down Elon's cheek. Every camera caught the moment. "That was perfect, buddy," Elon whispered softly, his voice barely more than a breath. Richard realized the entire country was watching this unfold live. Behind the cameras, his producer waved frantically, trying to get his attention, but he couldn't move. What was happening here went far beyond television, ratings, or celebrity interviews. The little boy climbed onto his father's lap, unaware that millions of viewers were watching their quiet exchange. He wrapped his arms around Elon's neck and whispered something only his father could hear. Richard noticed it then. The tears weren't just Elon's anymore. Sarah, the makeup artist, wiped her eyes in the corner. The sound engineer brushed away tears with his sleeve. Even the security guard at the entrance turned away, struggling to hide his emotion. But the most surprising reaction came from Jim, the seasoned cameraman. Richard glanced at camera 1 and saw Jim's face, streaked with tears as he continued filming. Jim had covered wars, natural disasters, and political scandals without flinching. But tonight, he was moved. The prayer had lasted under 2 minutes, but it felt like time had stopped, as if the world had shifted slightly on its axis. Richard knew this wasn't just another TV segment. It was something profound. He looked at his list of prepared questions, topics about innovation and technology, and quietly set them aside. None of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the raw truth he had just witnessed. A child's sincere and unfiltered conversation with God, broadcast to countless strangers. But Richard didn't know the whole story yet. He didn't know how this moment came to happen, or why a 5-year-old was sitting in a television studio late on a Tuesday night. He had no idea what events had led to this prayer, or how this simple act would ripple out into the world in unpredictable ways. All he knew was that he had witnessed something sacred, something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. And as he looked at the father and son, both unaware of the wave they had created, he knew the story was only beginning. 5 days earlier, everything had started with a single phone call. Elon sat in his home office, surrounded by blueprints and empty coffee cups, when his phone buzzed. He considered ignoring it. Late-night calls weren't unusual for him, but something made him answer. "Mr. Musk?" a hesitant voice asked. "This is Rebecca Martinez from Pinehurst Elementary. I'm calling about X." Elon froze. His heart skipped a beat. "What happened? Is he all right?" "He's not hurt," she assured him. But there was an incident today at school. Could you come in tomorrow morning? We need to talk about X's behavior. Elon's mind started to race. X wasn't a troublemaker. He was a thoughtful, gentle kid. Too smart for his age sometimes, maybe. What kind of incident? Elon asked, his voice tight. There was a pause on the line. It's complicated, Mr. Musk. I think we should talk in person. The next morning, Elon sat in the principal's office, feeling like he was the one in trouble. Mrs. Martinez, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, laid a folder on the desk in front of her. X has been talking to the other children about God, she began gently. He's been saying that Jesus talks to him, at recess, during lunch, even in class. Yesterday, he even convinced 3 other children to go pray with him in the bathroom. Elon's brow furrowed. That didn't sound like misbehavior. What's wrong with that? Mrs. Martinez opened the folder and pulled out several crayon drawings. These are X's drawings from yesterday, she explained. Please take a look. The first drawing showed a small stick figure next to a taller one with long hair. At the top, in uneven letters, it said, "Me and Jesus." The second drawing was more troubling. The same small figure was crying, surrounded by dark scribbles. Another figure reached out toward him. But it was the third drawing that made Elon's hands tremble. It showed a man alone at a desk, head buried in his hands. Above it, X had written, "Daddy's scared." "Mr. Musk," Mrs. Martinez said softly, "X has told the other children that you cry at night. He says Jesus told him that you need help." The words hit Elon like a wave. How could his son possibly know? The late nights, the anxiety, the pressure that kept him awake. It had all been private. Or so he thought. He also told his teacher, she continued, that Jesus wants him to pray for you on television. Some of the other kids were confused. Their parents had begun asking questions. Elon stared at the drawings, feeling a sense of disorientation. They didn't attend church. They rarely spoke about God in their home. Where had this come from? Has something changed at home? Mrs. Martinez asked gently. Elon wanted to deny it, to say everything was fine, that X simply had an active imagination. But looking at those drawings, especially the one of him crying, he knew better. X had seen far more than any child should. "I need to talk to him," Elon said at last. That afternoon, Elon waited for X in the living room instead of his office. When X came home, he dropped his bag and climbed onto the couch beside his father. "Am I in trouble?" the boy asked timidly. "No, buddy," Elon replied. "But I need to understand something. Mrs. Martinez said you've been talking about Jesus at school." X nodded seriously. "He talks to me." "What does he say?" "He says you're sad. He says I'm supposed to help you." Elon felt his chest grow tight. "I'm not sad," he said softly. X looked up at him with eyes that seemed older than 5. "Yes, you are, Daddy. Jesus shows me. He shows me. When you cry at night." The truth hit like a hammer. X's bedroom was right next to the office. How many nights had he overheard Elon's private battles? "Jesus says if I pray for you on TV, people will help. He says they need to see." Elon sat speechless. This wasn't just a child's fantasy. Something deeper was happening, and it scared him more than any crisis he'd faced in business. 2 days later, as Elon tried to sort through the confusion, he received another call. It was from Lisa Park, producer for Late Night Conversations. "We'd love to have you on the show this Tuesday," she said. "It's a great opportunity to talk about your current projects." Elon almost said no. Lately he'd avoided interviews, but something made him pause. "What time?" he asked. "We record live at 11 p.m. After he hung up, Elon found X in his playroom, building something with blocks. X looked up and asked, "Daddy, are you going to be on TV soon?" Elon froze. He hadn't told anyone. How do you know that? X shrugged. Jesus told me. He says I have to go too. You can't come, Elon said gently. It's too late. It's not for kids. X's face fell. But Jesus says it's important. He says people are waiting. Elon knelt next to him. What people? The sad ones. Like you, Daddy. Jesus says if I pray on TV, they'll know someone cares. In the days that followed, X became more and more insistent. He mentioned details of the studio no one had told him. Richard Chen's name, the blue chairs, even the white coffee cups with the network's logo. Elon tried distracting him with games and outings, but nothing worked. X remained focused. He had to pray on television. On Monday night, as Elon prepared for the interview in his office, he heard crying from X's room.